Metal Gear Solid Delta. So I've actually stayed quite silent regarding this one on my channel. I've stayed silent about it for quite some time, and it's because my opinions and feelings about it are slightly mixed. Metal Gear Solid Delta, I think, has some very promising features and some very nice upcoming things and additions, but it also remains faithful to the original, and I think this is also where a problem stems. You see, my thoughts on this remake are that everything so far that we've seen, that was showcased, it looks great. But there are some things I don't like, such as the MGS5 animations on the running. It feels weird and robotic. But the details, the camo, the snake getting dirty and that affecting his camo looks incredible. Like the scarring and the wounds, that also looks great. And everything else seems to be very faithful. But I think we could have benefited from a kind of like Silent Hill 2 style remake for this game. Like a reimagining, I think. Because Silent Hill 2 is not only just a remake, when you're talking about the Bloober game, it's a reimagining, right? It's very close and very faithful to the original, I feel. And it was done masterfully. And I really enjoyed it. One of the things I'm kind of worried about with this game, with the Delta remake, is Unreal Engine 5. We all know what that engine performs like, and it can look quite nice, but it also tends to look quite smeared and fuzzy and just not pleasant to look at. What I kind of do look forward to is the new styles for controls, or like the modern over-the-shoulder third-person camera kind of you'd have in MGS 5 and Peace Walker. And then you've got the classic camera, which is kind of like top-down, which is identical to what the PS2 version released with initially, and what we had in Substance as well. And Substance, I think, aced the camera quite well. You could switch naturally, between the Substance camera and the OG Snake Eater camera, which is nice. We also have crouch walking automatically implemented, so no need for mods or anything like that. We just by default receive crouch walking into the game. Aiming in third person and being able to move now, similar to MGS4, which is excellent. I mean, MGS3, as great as it is, we have to admit that the controls and the movement, it is quite dated now, right? And it is quite limiting in how you play the game. So, it could use that on the front, but that's a nice addition, I feel. I don't think it's gonna invalidate the original game, because the original game's available on PC right now and console if you want to play it. So it's always there. That's a nice thing. I already talked about the injury and the bruises and everything showing on Snake's model throughout the game, so I think that is excellent. The loading and level structures remain the same, so you get the black transition screens when you move through the game. Apparently, Snake vs. Monkey is going to make a return. Now, I never really cared about that, and if you did, that's totally cool. But it's nice to see that it's an addition. And we also have Hux Hunt multiplayer, which is like a hide and seek game, which is launching in fall. They've confirmed now, and I'm not really into that sort of stuff. I don't really care about it. Which again, if you do, it's absolutely fine, but I guess it's a nice addition to have, especially since the game costs a lot, But I seen something about like upgraded ghillie suits with Octo camo or something, which excites me. It seems pretty good, so we'll see how that goes. But the main thing kind of holding me back from being all excited and hyped for it is I feel that some of the character models and animations or whatever they've reused from the original game in this new light in Unreal Engine, it kind of sacrifices some of the like original I guess soul or visual art style and direction that the game had. I mean, if you compare some of the cutscenes in the game, like Delta versus OG, you can kind of tell the flair is there, but it's kind of slightly diminished, right? So, I don't think visuals like stuff like Volgin walking on the bridge, they're not as impactful as they were in the original. So I feel that's kind of where the game might be struggling a little bit. And I also feel that, you know, they should have kind of gone with a reimagining without changing too much. Because, yes, the Snake Eater story, the story in the game is perfect. Like, it's fantastic for a Metal Gear game. But the game is quite short, if you think about it. This game takes maybe 8 hours to beat, maybe between 8 and 12 hours, right? Goes Babel, right? That took a similar amount of time to beat, and that was on the Game Boy Advance, so, you know, it's a really short game. And the way Silent Hill 2 Remake, I feel, worked as well as it did was because every single area was expanded upon in great detail. The original, like, when I played Silent Hill 2, the OG, I beat that in 6 hours. It was an intense but amazing 6 hours, and it was great, right? But the reimagining, or the remake, right, that took around, let's say, it took me almost 6 hours to get through the apartments, and then it was onto the hospital and stuff. So, you know, it's a bit of you know, they added a lot of stuff to it that made the game longer and more enjoyable in a sense as well, and it didn't feel like padding or unnecessary content. It all just felt right, and that's what I feel MGS3 could benefit from as well. Some new expanded areas, maybe not a complete reimagining, some new areas, you know, some new enemy placements, whatever, would have done the game great, because that was always also my one single complaint with MGS3, is that the game is actually quite short. It doesn't feel like it's short because of all the cutscenes. If you sit there watching all the cutscenes, yeah, it's going to feel slightly longer, but it is not a very long game, and you can beat this game in like a single day or a single weekend, which is, you know, for most modern games nowadays, they're, you know, packed with content. Not every single game, but a lot of these games are packed with content. It'll take you multiple weekends or weeks to beat one. I could look at Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. That game took my friend, I think, almost 2 months of playing daily, just doing all the side content to actually beat. So yeah, it's quite lengthy, but I digress now. I feel like I'm slightly mixed on it. There's some stuff I do like, some stuff I don't like, and I've already pre-ordered the collection with the early access, so I'm going to be playing that and hopefully streaming that to YouTube and Twitch on the release day. So do check that out if you're around. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to see how it goes. So far, people have like played the demo in New York and stuff, and things have been positive. And, you know, from what I've seen, I'm just kind of indifferent about it. I'm glad it's coming, right? I'm glad it's there. I'm glad it's an option. It's a thing. But I'm not like overly excited or anything. And, you know, I won't lose sleep if it's bad or if the performance is bad or anything. You know, I'll always have the original to fall back on. But I'm happy that we're getting something like this either way, you know, that they're doing something with the franchise. And hopefully now that Delta is going to come out, we'll hear something about Master Collection Volume 2, you know, because it's been a while and I want to dip my fingers into Metal Gear Solid 4 finally on PC. So fingers crossed that turns out well. But yeah, to conclude, yeah, I think it's like overall, I think the game's going to be good. It's gonna be short, but I think there's gonna be some extra content for you to replay the game and do, you know, and some unlocks and stuff like that. So that's always nice, because even the OG MGS3 didn't have that many unlocks. So, you know, best wait and see and see what happens on August 28th. But yeah, if you've hung around, you know, if you stuck around this far and you've watched the video, thanks very much, and I would appreciate some sort of, you know, any sort of support, likes or comments or anything like that. And please do tell me your opinion, tell me what you think about Delta. Let's get some sort of discussions going in the comments. Thanks and peace.